What's holding you back from starting or growing your business into what it can be? Well, if you're listening to this, it's not a lack of information. What you're about to hear is all you need to get motivated and start making waves. Do It for a Living podcast details the journey of today's true players in their own words. Find out how they broke out so you can too. The time is now. The time is always now.
Welcome back to another episode of Do It for a Living. This week we're going to go back and we're going to talk to somebody we talked to, and I believe this is August 2016, but it may have been earlier than that. I don't actually have the exact date, so it's probably been 4 to 5 years. This one's on the other side of the world here down in New Zealand. We've got Andre and we've got Ben from HP Academy. How you guys doing today?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Cool. So I see you guys every year. I love watching you guys at the PRI because you're always running around with your camera and your microphone and interviewing everybody for every little thing you see. And that's the content you put out with your both with your YouTube channel and what you put on Facebook that I see. The most public side of stuff is fantastic. Obviously, the core of your business is the school, the actual teaching people stuff of tuning, and I know you got a lot of wiring stuff on there, and I know you got a lot more to talk about in that area. So I'm really excited to catch up with you guys and kind of see how things have gone for the last 5 years and where you plan to go moving forward. So why don't you guys go ahead and get started and kind of take us up to speed from where we left off in like 2015, 2016 timeframe when you were first getting started with HPA.
All right, yeah, it has been a long while, and over time, a lot of plans change. At the time, I think when we were interviewed, we were thinking about doing everything ourselves and keeping the team just Andre and myself. Mm-hmm. But turns out the customers that have been doing the HPA courses, the tuning courses we had at the time, wanted more, and we realized pretty quickly that we couldn't do a good job at it by ourselves. So we actually ended up employing quite a few people. We're at a team of 7 now. Mm-hmm. And that sort of helped us get like a lot of content. So first of all, the content that you noticed from events, we've sort of ramped that up now to a point where we're releasing several pretty juicy pieces of content every week. From all over the world. We've been to Goodwood, PRI, SEMA, World Time Attack, getting a lot of interesting interviews and speaking to a lot of really smart people.
Yeah, for sure.
And we've also started a bunch more topics in HPA. So we've got really into engine building, mm-hmm. and now we have a range of courses that can teach you from zero to hero. How to build an engine yourself, and we focus kind of building that yourself with an engine machinist. And then we've got a series of wiring courses as well, teaching you how to build motorsport wiring harnesses, anything from sort of a cost-effective club-level harness all the way through to a super premium motorsport dedicated
mil spec.
Mil spec.
To use the catchphrase that's so often thrown around.
Mil spec harness. So yeah, like with HPA, we've really sort of ramped things up quite a bit. With all of those extra topics comes a whole bunch more customers, and a whole bunch more customers comes a need for customer service, which our team here, I think, does an awesome job getting back to everyone really, really quickly, responding to a lot of comments on Facebook. Turns out when you put up that much content, a lot of people have a lot of things to say, and in our industry, some of the things that they're saying, I don't know, there's the odd argument that happens and breaks out, and clearing up misinformation as best we can while keeping everything friendly and humming along seems to take up quite a bit of the guys' time. Yeah,
so you've had obviously, and I'm sure this is very difficult, and maybe you want to speak on it a little bit, but finding the balance point between the number of employees you have versus the number of customers you have, because if you have 100,000 customers and they're all paying a monthly fee, you can obviously afford to pay a couple employees, but finding where that works out, where everybody gets the level of service they need to actually learn from it, and then at the same time, where you are able to actually make money on it. Has that been difficult over the years?
I think it's been a case of we would really employ almost as many people as we could get. That's been the challenge for us, is not so much balancing that. We're really struggling to get staff and good quality staff to work here.
Okay.
And we've been really lucky with the people we have got, particularly, as Ben said, the customer service side of things is really important. We really focus on keeping the HPA members really, really happy. And we've got 2 of our staff essentially full-time in customer service, and they do an exceptional job. I think probably actually just to rewind a little bit, and this kind of comes back to where we were at the last interview, and was just the 2 of us, myself and Ben, as he mentioned. And we kind of come from my old shop where we had staff, and both of us kind of, I think initially when we moved to Queenstown, we're a little burned out on staff management, and that's why we wanted to go down the path of just the 2 of us.
Right.
And then we sort of, over probably a period of 12 to 18 months, realised it wasn't going to allow us to help and reach as many people as we actually wanted to. We kind of saw quickly that, first of all, the courses were really benefiting people, and that's really satisfying for us. And then the demand from more and more people, we just quickly realised that wasn't sustainable, just the 2 of us. The other thing that kind of goes hand in hand with that, though, is coming from a workshop background. You've got X number of staff and they have a charge out rate and you're paying them X amount. You kind of know that you have to have those guys humming pretty much 40 hours a week or whatever they're working and charging out if you've got any hope at all of making money. Whereas now we're in a different business with a different model where we're selling a digital product. I mean, understandably, we don't want our staff standing around doing nothing, but it does take a little bit of the emphasis off, cracking the whip and having them absolutely humming every minute of the day, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, it's a much harder metric.
It's a less stressful
by, right?
environment, I think, from a management perspective, and that's really been enjoyable for this business model.
Okay, yeah, it's a different metric to measure your productivity by. It's not just straight hours of working on a car, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and then obviously, being in New Zealand, you don't have the massive population to pull employees from. Is that kind of what is keeping you from growing faster? Has that been a hindrance to you at all, or is it still the right people?
So it's quite interesting. We live in Queenstown in New Zealand. Queenstown's the sort of number 1 tourist destination in New Zealand. It's got lakes, mountains. You can do all the snow sports you want to do. Wakeboarding, mountain biking. It's pretty much the dream. We've got a racetrack 40 minutes down the road. We thought that it would be super easy to attract anyone we wanted to move to Queenstown, but it turns out it's actually harder than we thought. So convincing people to move their whole family over to the other side of the world, to paradise, to work in a really cool place that's quite low stress, we thought we'd have people banging down our door, but it turns out that that's actually it's actually harder to employ people here than we initially thought. But we're in a population of about 20,000 people in Queenstown.
Yeah, and I've talked to this before. I've been there. It's fantastic place to be, but yeah, it's a tourist destination for sure. But I didn't perceive it as like the mecca of motorsports. It's not like going to Indianapolis where there's literally every block there's another like shop or manufacturer making something crazy, right?
We're sort of. I feel that we're starting to see a bit of growth in the industry in the region. Just down the road at Highlands Motorsport Park, we have Hayden Paddon has set up a business there, creating I think he's aiming to be the first electric rally car. Yeah. Like full electric rally car.
Okay.
With
for those who aren't aware, Hayden Paddon was running in the WRC for Hyundai Motorsport, so he's got aspirations of getting back into there. But they're also looking at potentially their own WRC team. So there's a lot of development.
Okay.
In the area, definitely we're not Indianapolis.
Right. So have you not looked overseas to employ people like in the States? Has that ever crossed your mind? I'm sure it has, right?
Definitely. Like, so we're trying to get people to move here. We think that company culture is quite important and very hard to develop remotely. That and the fact that recording course material for our platforms like HPA, you need to be here. You need to have a good relationship with the people that are filming the course. When we're filming a course, the presenter and the video team, they work really, really tightly in creating something that's going to be really special. So having the talent sort of fly in, film some stuff, and then fly home, kind of, we've tried it and it doesn't really get the best results.
If we could find the right people from offshore, we wouldn't hesitate in employing them, and we actually have just done that for one of our offshoot companies, Racecraft. We've got a young guy, Matt, that we've just employed out of the UK.
Okay.
He's a race driver. We also thought we had 2 new staff members that were going to be joining us from the UK this year, to the point we had contracts in front of them. They had accepted on face value, and then in both instances got to a situation where the wives weren't prepared to move to New Zealand. So that was really frustrating. That was the culmination of probably 6 months of work, finding these guys, sort of talking through the whole process, and then it all fell over. So
sure,
it has been challenging, but I guess it wouldn't. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. Isn't that the way everyone says it?
We're pretty lucky in the fact. Well, I'm pretty lucky in the fact that we've got Andre, who seems to be pretty good at creating a course and has a very diverse range of skills. So he's been a real asset and enabled us to get as many courses as we've got out now. So he's been the sort of the main driving force behind the engine building and the tuning courses. And he's also started a wheel alignment course for Racecraft. So yeah, we've really managed to pump out a lot just with the one tutor.
That's the other challenge, I guess, is that it is quite a diverse skill set that we're looking for. So first of all, we need someone who's incredibly competent with whatever the task is. So they're technically knowledgeable, and they are also going to need to be able to break down complex topics and explain them in simple language. And that's not a skill that every professional in the industry has. So we've got a few challenges ahead of us.
Okay. And so the next big question is, you guys started this, and obviously Andre and Ben, I don't remember your exact background, but Andre, you owned a shop, and how did you learn the skills to make these videos, and how has it? I mean, they're very professional videos. I love watching them. And how did you learn the skills to do that? You know, is it just like YouTube at all, or do you have a background in this?
Probably, Andre has that natural skill of being able to break down those complex topics.
I think it actually goes back to, so I had a university degree, which realistically I used nothing of that in my day-to-day. And I think at the time what I didn't appreciate was I did a product development degree, a Bachelor of Technology, and for my entire final year, basically every week we had to do a 20-minute stand-up presentation to the entire class.
Sure.
And what that did over the course of a full year of doing that, I became really comfortable with public speaking. And it was that case of discussing topics and making them simple.
Sure.
So I think I took that away. That's probably my only takeaway from 4 years at university. And that's really developed into what we're doing today. But I mean, we are getting better over the 5 or 6 years HPA's been in business. We look back at some of our early videos, and I mean, they're terrible. They're cringeworthy.
Right.
Our technology's improved. Our techniques have improved. We're getting better with our sound quality and our video quality, and some of that comes from just employing better people. Our video team are really, really skillful.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of with my videos in the podcast, where we're always working to improve the audio, but I don't know how far I can take it without actually having to consult with an actual audio engineer, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Ben, you're always the guy behind the camera at all the events that I see you at. Is that something you were experienced in before too, or have you kind of learned this on the fly as well?
No, we've done it like everything, learning on the fly. I used to be pretty heavily into photography when I was working for Andre at his shop.
Sure.
And everyone on social media at the time was saying, "Hey, I'm sick of all these photos of cars on the dyno. How about you get some video?" So we just sort of took the feedback from those people, from our customers, and I went and learned how to shoot video. And since then, we've just employed people that are way smarter at me than, way smarter at video than I am. So we've got a couple of young guys working for us now who are just next level. So the cinematography, the amount of B-roll in our videos, which everyone keeps on asking for, sort of more video of the car and the parts that we're speaking about on our YouTube videos.
Sure.
Those are all sort of stepped up to that next level. It's all iterative improvement.
Okay, awesome. And did you guys ever write a formal business plan for this?
I actually emailed Andre like a whiteboard plan that we had, which is pretty broad, where we had like a revenue target, staff, with the amount of staff we thought we'd need to do that, and then the course content that we thought we'd need to make to get there. And we kind of wrote that on the whiteboard, and it stayed up there for maybe 3 months. And we look back at it now for looking back 2 or 3 years, and it seems like we hit all of those milestones. But no,
well, not necessarily by doing the things that we wrote.
Sure.
I think might be a little controversial. I'm maybe not a massive believer on a absolutely rock solid business plan and then go after.
Yeah.
Right. And it might sound weird. I think the aim is, sure, you've got to have some plans and goals and a direction. That's a given. So in that respect, business plan can be helpful. I think what we've seen over the last 5 years, though, is we've been very fluid in the direction we've moved, and that can change from year to year and probably more likely month to month. And I think if you were running after a really structured business plan, that would actually have hurt us and not allowed us to kind of expand out and explore different directions. Now, you've got to also temper that with both Ben and I do tend to suffer from the shiny object syndrome, and the business as usual can get a little bit mundane.
Yeah.
And so you've got to be really careful that we're not just chasing the latest cool idea that sounds exciting and fun.
Sure. Yeah, and I get it's like the small and nimble business is the one that can adapt the fastest, right?
100%, yeah.
And like Andre said, though, that is a balance. We found that Andre and I, left to our own devices, will chase the shiniest, coolest thing that comes out. We've recently implemented some structure around the short-term goals that we're setting. Okay. So we set goals for a quarter now, and then work back from those into individual tasks. And then every week, as a team, we catch up, talk about those quarterly goals that we've got, the tasks that are associated, and give ourselves a score out of 100 on how complete they are.
That's been a game changer. We've only been doing this. This is our third quarter, I think, running OKRs, and the first couple of quarters were a pretty big learning curve. The first one, we just didn't get anywhere near our targets, probably setting them a little bit optimistically. The second quarter, though, which finished at the end of December, we really saw the value of it. We'd been talking about this Racecraft project for probably 18 months, and literally just nothing was happening. And we put that up there as an objective with a revenue target for the quarter, and literally only because of having that as an OKR, we're looking at every week, we're moving towards the final goal. That's the only reason that project launched, and it's doing really well. So, absolute game changer for us.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So, me and you have talked about this at the your PRI meet and greet event, which is the best event at PRI, by the way.
Thank you.
You guys it's not necessarily a new business, but it's a new brand of the business, right? So tell me what the Racecraft is and what you're doing with it, because I don't believe our listeners are all familiar with it. So
well, they probably won't be. So we only launched it in December. So essentially, it's just High Performance Academy for those who want to learn how to develop, modify, optimize their race cars, and then we're also moving into race driver education as well. So we've basically got an online training platform in High Performance Academy that we've developed over the years, and we've just copied and pasted that, reskinned it as Racecraft. So we're not trying to make out that they aren't under the same ownership. The reason we've separated them is that while there's understandably going to be a bit of cross-pollination between the two brands, there's enough difference between those who want to learn how to tune an engine and those who want to learn how to drive a race car.
Right, for sure.
We felt it made more sense to separate them out. Otherwise, it kind of dilutes the message of High Performance Academy, and it makes it just harder for people to understand what we're actually doing.
Okay. And so when you're taking your content, so obviously the wiring and the engine building, that kind of falls under the umbrella of still tuning, right? Was that the thinking on that?
Yeah, essentially, yeah, correct.
Yeah, so HPA is tuning, wiring, and engine building, and we're kind of leaving it at that.
We're going to continue to create content within those topics. So we're not stopping High Performance Academy's development, but we are going to limit to those topics.
Okay. And now, Andre, with you being kind of like the face of the I guess the company being on all the videos, do you find it difficult, I mean, being the resident expert on all these different topics, or have you been able to find anybody else to cover these other, I guess, like being a professional driver, having a driver teaching the course, right? Is that kind of like the thinking that you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm very aware of where my knowledge comes short, and I would say I'm an amateur race driver, and I like to think I do okay behind the wheel, but I'm definitely no professional. So it would be pretty ridiculous for me to be standing taking a class telling how they should be driving a race car when I'm essentially at the enthusiast or hobbyist level. So it was always the intention there to employ a professional race driver who has the runs on the board, the experience, and that's what we've got in our new employee, Matt. Still relatively young, but he's actually won a couple of series over in the UK, Caterham and MX5, and they're all single make series where it's really the setup of the car and the driver skill that
not the most money.
No, you can't just go throw money at the car and make it faster.
Okay, very cool. So he's the new guy you hired from the UK. Is he moving to New Zealand with you guys?
He moved 4 weeks ago. He's already in the deep end. He's currently developing a corner weighting course for Racecraft.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, I got a bunch of my own customers that are going to be interested in this too, because this is, I mean, like tuning is, you're really targeting people who are either tuning themselves or working at a shop. But the Racecraft, you can get everybody who, just wants to set their car up better, right? I mean, that the market seems to be quite a bit bigger for that than I would think with the tuning stuff.
That's our guess. I mean, we've probably been a little bit surprised how many customers we've attracted and how popular High Performance Academy has been, considering how niche the topics we teach are.
Sure.
But I think that was our expectation, that the market for the enthusiast race car drivers is very big.
Okay. And one thing you're also very good at is really engaging the viewers of your content. How do you manage to get so many people to ask questions and asking you for new things, and really being able to have people participate in your videos, by the comments and Facebook discussions and whatnot?
I mean, I think a large reason why we get so much interaction on the content that we're providing is there's just not a huge amount of it out there.
Okay.
So the type of videos that we create, I think, are relatively unique in terms of the technical depth that we go into. For example, when we do a tech tour of a car, it's not how much power do you make and how much boost are you running. We really talk to the owner about the things that sort of interest Andre when he's talking to those people, and that sort of seems to resonate with a lot of our audience.
At the same time, it's a little bit frustrating for us that we've been running the YouTube channel for 5 years, although admittedly only really putting a lot more focus into it for probably the last 12 to 18 months. And we just went past 100,000 subscribers back, I think, maybe October or November, maybe last year. And I know how much effort we go into traveling to events, filming, editing, all of that for these videos, which are well received by our tiny 100,000 subscribers. And then someone puts up a video of a cat falling off a couch and it gets views, and you're like, what?
Gets 1 billion views, right?
Yeah. So that's where we live in, though.
Now, are you using YouTube? Are you monetizing YouTube, or are you using it really to drive the HP Academy part of it?
So we have monetized it. Essentially, YouTube's going to run ads on your videos no matter what, so you may as well get paid for it.
Okay.
Currently, that is probably it's definitely not covering itself.
We wouldn't be putting food on the table based on our YouTube.
Right.
Yeah. It's a tough way to make a living unless you're getting a few million views a day, I believe. But there's some guys out there doing a really good job, which is nice.
Yeah, I watched a fantastic video yesterday about somebody who has, I don't know, he's got like 3 or 4 million followers, and he described exactly where his revenue comes from, and it was quite interesting. So you're spot on.
Yeah.
He said his first year he barely made any revenue with the ads, and then by this most recent year he made quite a bit of money. But most of it comes from affiliate links and advertisers that are within the content. So a company paying you to sponsor it. And then selling, merchandise and whatnot. So,
ultimately, that's really not the direction we want to go down. And I mean, probably 95% of people that go through our YouTube videos, they're going to learn something, hopefully, and maybe they'll never take a course, and that's just fine. It genuinely is just free information. Of course, for those who then it piques their interest and they want to learn more, then that's where our courses come in.
Yeah. Yeah, and you
we also last year started producing some vlog style videos from our racing. Ben and I raced in a local endurance championship.
Okay.
And we've really enjoyed that. Kind of that a little bit less formal, a little bit more fun, behind the scenes, lighthearted, and the viewers kind of get maybe a little bit more of an idea of our actual personalities, and also the video team can kind of cut loose and do something cool which they enjoy. It lets them get their creative juices flowing. So that's been really fun. We've got really positive feedback from the 2 vlogs that we've put out so far. We've got another one, should be out pretty soon.
Awesome. So you're still pushing the YouTube stuff back to like the pay subscription model that you have for the courses, right? That's the ultimate end goal.
Yeah. So
right.
Just to be clear, most of our courses, or all of our courses, you're able to purchase them for a one-time fee, and then that course is yours for life.
Sure. Okay.
We do have like a support gold membership, which is $19 a month. You get access to our webinars, which there are now 232 of them. So a lot of information in there, and you get access to our forum. So I just wanted to make that clear.
Okay. Maybe has that changed, or has it always been that way?
No, it's always been that way. In the early days, we thought we would sort of get the gold membership would be a larger part of our business.
Sure,
but we've found that I think it just benefits the customer more if they can make a one-time payment. They know what's up.
Yeah.
That course is theirs for life. We continue to update them as well. So, for example, all of our practical courses, like our practical engine building course, every time we build another engine, we turn that into a course and add it to the course. So you might purchase the course and there might be 2 engines that in the worked example library, and we might add a couple of those every year to grow that course.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so it really is you don't have to be hooked for life to be able to keep watching the videos. No. So that's really nice. Okay, cool. Okay, so have you guys utilized the Do It for a Living group or any of the other podcasts? Have any of that information been helpful to you guys in your business? I get that it's kind of it's unique in that you're really a media company more so than a making cars anymore. But has any of the stuff been useful to you?
I find quite a bit of it just gives us a good look into people people that are running workshops and the struggles that they're going through, and the sort of like, how can we leverage that? Like, how can we find information that a lot of workshop owners are looking for, and does that sort of present any opportunities for us to make a course on?
Okay.
Yeah, that's fair. I think the other thing is with podcasts in general, I mean, maybe not just solely do it for a living. There's obviously
there's other ones too, right?
It's a case of, I mean, everyone's got a story that you can learn from. And I think, no one knows everything. We're always learning. So it can be quite inspiring. You just pick up maybe one or two little pieces of information that you hadn't really thought about and add that into your mix. The other thing, even if you're not picking up information like that, I find that podcasts are quite good just for keeping your motivation levels up, because particularly when you're kind of doing the business as usual, the mundane, it can drag on a little bit. You can get sick of it. So keeping the motivation up is very important, I think.
Okay. All right, and then I wanted to talk about one thing in particular. Maybe you have other cases of this, but something that has not worked out like you had planned originally over the last 5 years. So at one point in time, you guys were you had a dyno, and you were gonna have people remotely log in to tune it remotely. Essentially, is what the plan was, right? How did that work out, or have you had other things that you changed, directions on?
Yeah, that went horribly.
I still stand by that. I think that idea is probably the best way to learn how to tune a car. However, we found that there was some huge hurdles trying to convince the people that are in our market to buy it. We had a lot of really great feedback from the people that did sort of take the leap and got involved and used that online dyno. They loved it and they kept on coming back. However, it was very hard to convince someone who possibly had a car at home that he could tune, that learning to tune an engine on the other side of the world that he'd never get to drive would be beneficial to him. So yeah, we tried for probably much longer than we should. I think the business lesson that we learned there was, if something is not going the way that you think it's going to go, and your gut says, hey, I think, this is not going to work out, you should sort of trust that feeling and do something about it rather than spend a lot of money trying to make it work.
I think with it, we got to a situation where we probably could have made it profitable, but what it would have required was a huge effort in terms of marketing it and getting it in front of people. And with all of the other projects we had in the lineup that we're working, it was going to take our focus away from something that was going to be cost effective and profitable straight away. So the hard decision was, I mean, at that point we had a huge amount of money invested. And for those who don't know, it's basically a 20-foot container with a mainline engine dyno in one end, a control room in the other. And basically people can access that via TeamViewer from anywhere in the world and tune the engine exactly the same as if they're sitting here in Queenstown. So we're running lessons with an instructor or tutor taking them through that. So first of all, we had a huge investment tied up in the container that we built and the engine dyno. And then we also had a full-time staff member here in Queenstown. And unfortunately, when we did make the call to stop that project and quit, we also had to make our staff member redundant, which is always a hard decision to make.
Gotcha. Now, do you still have the dyno, or did you get rid of that as well?
We do. It's currently sitting out in front of our building, and we're currently discussing with a local polytechnic to purchase it. But for demonstration, it's set up perfectly, and particularly training. So it's currently got a 6-litre LS2 on it. But yeah, we would like to move it on. Again, quite a bit of money tied up in it, and it's taking up some valuable car parking space too.
All right. So tell me, has the time that you guys are spending on this, does the pay justify the time you're spending?
For High Performance Academy?
Yes.
Yeah. It's a great business to run. Yeah. It kind of fulfills us financially. The feeling that you get when people message you and tell you that the courses are great, they've maybe helped create. We've seen some of our customers that have been with us for a while grow businesses off the back of the information that we're sharing. So for us, it's sort of
satisfying.
very satisfying.
Yeah,
I think if I go back to my old workshop where primarily we're tuning cars for a living, occasionally you get a car that was poorly tuned, and you'd really turn that thing around and maybe double the power and turn it into a beautifully driving car, and the customer was absolutely stoked, and that was super satisfying. But at the end of the day, you're helping that one person. Now we're able to help literally tens of thousands of people all around the world, and that's really satisfying for us. We see that just over the years as we've attended PRI, the tuner meetup that we've put on each year, that's kind of just about doubled in attendance each year, to the point where I don't know where we'll put that on next year. And the people that want to come up and tell us their stories and thank us, that kind of shows us that we're actually making a difference.
Yeah. So I mean, it's got to be really satisfying. I mean, you're still in the industry you've loved, and now you're just able to reach more people, right?
Well, we're trying to also fix that industry because it's a broken industry.
Okay.
I know when I was running my old shop, because the tuning industry, if we just get onto that one, it's got a checkered reputation. Unfortunately, there's more tuners out there who don't know what they're doing than those that do. So customers hear all these horrible stories about blowing up engines and jobs that ran over budget by 2 or 3 times. So they kind of come in the door to you already on the back foot with a bad attitude, expecting that they're going to be ripped off. And that's what we're trying to fix. We want to basically get the education out there so that the whole industry is working at a higher level. Customers are getting better results. They're getting charged fairly. And then those customers in turn are going to be easier to deal with for these shops too. So it just helps everyone.
Awesome. Do you guys have a 1-year plan for the business, like for 2020? Any goals?
Yeah, we have got a whole bunch, and some we've sort of already started to execute. I'll tell you about a new project that we're working on at the moment. We've partnered with Nigel Petrie from Engineered to Slide over in Australia. And for those like diehard HPA fans, you'll know that we went over to Melbourne in Australia. We helped wire and tune his drift ute that he sort of built from scratch. We've partnered with him to create essentially the High Performance Academy of Motorsport fabrication.
Okay.
So we're working with him to create courses about welding, courses about roll cage fabrication, exhaust manifold fabrication, fabricating suspension components. And that seems to be, it launched sort of end of last year and seems to be it seems to be well reviewed and well received.
Everyone's loving it, yeah.
So we're going to be putting quite a bit of effort behind that. And we hope to sort of create a few courses that should be like, by the end of the year, we should have like a really serious number of courses there.
The whole sort of focus has been that we're not stopping HPA or development on HPA for this next 12-month period. HPA is going to be kind of business as usual. We've got some additional worked examples that we're going to be adding into our courses, so it's definitely not being parked and forgotten about. But at the moment, as I kind of touched on, we've got the 3 main topics: the engine tuning, the engine building, and the wiring. We don't want to add more outside of that to HPA. So it's going to be about developing more content around that so that we can also focus on ETS Fab School and the Racecraft project and build those up.
Okay. So it's still more content. It's just different topics under a different umbrella, or all under the same umbrella, but a different brand to appeal to different people, right? Sure.
One of the reasons we decided to split them off, we've partnered with Nigel from Engineered to Slide on this. So this is kind of his project that we're providing all of the support for.
Okay.
And it works for us. It's essentially getting another Andre on board where we can do the things that we find like we can be most helpful in the video production, the marketing, the back-end course admin, things like that. And let Nigel, who already has a really great audience, has a great knowledge base, turn all of that knowledge into courses that can be sort of shared amongst the world.
I think it's just exactly the same situation where there's a lot of people who want to learn how to fabricate on their own project cars. And, maybe they don't want to become a fitter and turner, and they don't want to go to a polytechnic or a school and learn those skills, and getting access to that information easily in an easy to digest format that's technically correct is quite tricky. So we've seen really good uptake so far on that first ETS fabrication school course, and people are screaming out for more information.
Now, so back to your original question there of what goals we have for the year, it's essentially to get HPA running with less input from Andre, which means we're going to be looking for more people to join the team, because we've got a whole bunch of courses that we want to produce this year for High Performance Academy. So we'll be looking to hire someone who's had experience building engines, tuning cars, or making wiring harnesses. Possibly 2 people. We're looking to have Racecraft populated with like a large base of courses, and then we're also looking to do the same with Engineered to Slide.
Okay, then Andre, are you traveling over to Australia to do these videos with him, or are you going to be doing those in-house at your facility?
No, so Nigel is the person in front of the camera on the ETS Fab School. So we flew over to Melbourne last year, and I sort of coached him through filming his first course.
Sure.
And from here on, I'm also sort of working as technical director on that project in terms of helping Nigel with the course content creation, writing the scripts, etc. So I think now Nigel's got a good feel for that, and he's getting more and more comfortable in front of a camera. So from here on, I don't think I'm going to need to actually be involved. Right now, we're farming out our video crew. So they'll go over to film courses with him, and later, probably by the end of 2020, we'd expect he'll have a full-time in-house videographer working there.
Okay, very interesting. I'm excited to see what you guys are doing with this. So other than that, are there any events you plan on visiting here in the States this year or anywhere else in the world? I'm assuming you got a whole schedule of them, huh?
It's tough. We went to TX2K last year, and that was a great event. I really enjoyed it, and some really cool cars. The tricky part was that, I think from the top of my head, it was a 4-day event, and Jono and I were pretty busy. We filmed a lot of content. And I think what we ended up doing was probably cherry picking probably most of the fast cars or the category winners. And I kind of feel with that event, we're not going to see, if we go again this year, it's probably predominantly going to be the same cars again.
Yeah.
So it's not one of those events maybe we'll do every year. Understandably, for us coming from New Zealand, international travel gets expensive.
For sure.
I've got a wife and 2 kids. They kind of like to see me, so that's hard as well. So the events that we'll probably do, we really enjoyed Goodwood Festival of Speed last year, and there's so much motorsport in Europe and so many smart people and cool workshops. So I think we'll do that again potentially. We've done World Time Attack in Sydney for, I think, the last 5 years. That's a great event.
Yep.
We really enjoy it.
I want to go to that one sometime.
Easy to get to. And then, SEMA and PRI. We hadn't done SEMA for about 7 years. We went back 2019 last year, and I actually really enjoyed it. And it was better than I expected for content. PRI, though, has been our main bread and butter because it's sort of less of the shiny big wheels and flash paint jobs. It's more hardcore race stuff, which is obviously our focus.
Yeah, I think we've come to the same realization of that. We haven't been to SEMA I have not been to SEMA in probably 5 or 6 years as well. And do we just focus on PRI? Okay, so then I'm guessing you'll probably be doing the, you said your meet and greet at the PRI show is growing so fast, but I'm guessing you'll be doing that again this year? Yeah,
we'll find a bigger venue. I think people were getting turned away last year, which was exciting but sad for them.
Yeah, I had a couple of people as well that spoke to me over the evening that had actually travelled. I think one of them had travelled 5 hours to get to Indianapolis, and he hadn't actually gone to the show. He had come solely
straight for that. I believe it.
Meet up and say hi, which that's really humbling when people are doing that.
Sure, I believe it, and because the really for our niche of import tuning shops, that is what I think probably a bulk of your people there are, is that's where you meet everybody. I mean, it's all the same people that that do the same kind of work I do.
Yeah, definitely.
And the thing as well is it's very one-sided. So we sort of tuck ourselves down here in New Zealand for 90% of the year, and my face is out there on YouTube and Facebook, etc. So lots of people get to see me, but it's a very one-sided relationship. So it's actually quite nice to go and meet the people who are taking our courses and following our content. It's really cool.
Awesome. Well, guys, I want to thank you for taking the time to do this again. It's been great catching up to you, and I look forward to seeing what else you have to put out.
No problem. Thanks for the chat.
Thanks a lot. And if you are interested in seeing any of that stuff, you can see our motorsport fabrication courses at hesfab.com. You can see our wheel alignment, driver training courses, and car setup courses at racecrafthq.com. And High Performance Academy is hpacademy.com.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, guys.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to Do It for a Living. You can find out more about this guest, this show, and even details about what we just talked about at our website. Check out the Facebook page at facebook.com/doitforaliving and tell us who you want to hear from. And most importantly, subscribe to the podcast. Click subscribe. Do it now. Seriously. I'll wait while you grab your phone. Open up the podcast app. Tap the subscribe button. When you subscribe, you help us gain momentum and attract more high-level guests. Thanks for listening.